This plan sees temporary cuts to import tariffs on a wide range of goods and a pledge from the British government not to introduce any checks on goods moving from Ireland to Northern Ireland. Now, if the UK leaves without a deal, the British government says there will be no tariffs on 87% of imports coming into the UK. That's up from the current 82%. But when it comes to goods coming from the European Union, which is the UK's biggest trading partner, there would be no tariffs on 82% of imports. That means that 18% of those imports currently don't have tariffs under the European single market rules, but will have them under this plan. Now, in particular, tariffs and quotas will apply to things like imported beef, pork, chicken and some dairy products as well. There won't be any tariffs on car parts coming from the EU. That's a measure aimed at protecting the British car industry, which relies heavily on EU imports as those cars are constructed in different parts of the European Union at present. But there would, under this plan, be some tariffs on finished vehicles coming into the UK from the European Union. Well, let's turn next to how the markets have been reacting to yesterday's news of the British Parliament rejecting the EU withdrawal deal. Sterling looking slightly stronger in trading today. It's a pound trading for around $1.31, up by 0.5% today, and against the euro, €1.16 in trading there as well. Now, if we look at how things have evolved over the last 24 hours, after Theresa May agreed those additional assurances with the European Union, we saw the pound rise to over €1.17 before dropping sharply as that advice from the Attorney General Geoffrey Cox was published, in which he said the legal risks remained of the UK being trapped in the backstop after Brexit. So what happened then was essentially the currency markets reacting to the prospect of the deal being rejected, so remaining pretty low for the rest of the day. So when the vote actually came, there wasn't any huge surprise, as traders had already been expecting that result. And what we're seeing now, that rise in trading today, is largely as currency traders expect no deal to be ruled out by the Parliament later. That removes at least one element of uncertainty for the markets. On the stock markets, this is the first reaction on the European markets to that vote in Westminster. Of course, they were closed when it happened yesterday. European markets opening in the red. Lots of companies moving the markets as well. We're keeping an eye on Volkswagen today. It's just announced it's going to cut between 5,000 and 7,000 jobs by 2023. Over in Asia, Asian investors taking some profits after gains earlier in the week. The Nikkei in Tokyo finishing the day down 1%, falls 2% across Shanghai, Hong Kong and on the Kospi in Seoul. Moving on, the list of countries that have grounded Boeing's 737 MAX planes keeps getting longer. New Zealand, Vietnam and Hong Kong are the latest to ban the aircraft, leaving around 2/3 of the 371-strong fleet grounded. The majority of the planes still flying are in the United States, where regulators have insisted there is no reason to ground the aircraft. That's despite steps taken in the European Union and elsewhere, as Alison Sargent now reports.
Passengers don't pay close attention to what kind of plane they're flying in. But since the deadly crash in Ethiopia on Sunday, the second in 5 months involving a Boeing 737 MAX, many American travelers are making sure that's not the model they'll be taking.
Well, we heard about the accident the day before yesterday, I think, and immediately we're doing a little research.
It makes me a little wary. If everyone else is grounding these planes, I definitely think we should too.
On Tuesday, the European Union joined the group of countries suspending Boeing 737 MAX flights, making the U.S. the main country where the planes are still being flown. U.S. aviation regulator, the FAA, says there is no basis for grounding the aircraft. Boeing's chief executive reportedly called the U.S. president to reassure him that the Boeing 737 MAX is safe to fly. The company employs over 150,000 people in the U.S. and is the second biggest contractor for the U.S. military.
They are a powerful force, and any decision that has to do with Boeing must necessarily consider that fact.
The cause of Sunday's Ethiopian Airlines accident is unknown, and there is no evidence linking it to October's Lion Air crash. Still, some politicians are calling on the major airlines that use Boeing 737 MAX planes to voluntarily ground them, or allow passengers to change their flights with no additional fees.
Finally, from me, the American retailer Dick's Sporting Goods is to stop selling guns at 125 of its stores in the United States. That's less than a fifth of its outlets, but it's another step back for the company from selling weapons after it tightened the rules around gun sales last year. Now, Dick says that its sales did decline last year after its announcement of tightening those rules, part of which it does attribute to its tougher stance on guns. Stuart.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Stephen Carroll with the business news here.